You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm your host, Mo, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Debra Fleeger. Debra is a sound healer, amongst many other things, and the founder of Sacred Sounds for the Soul. And I met Debra when I was in Sedona back in November 2024, so just a few months ago, at the Manifestation for the Angels retreat. And Debra came in and did a sound healing session for us, and I was blown away by her energy, her presence, and then the experience with the bowls. And I was reminded today when we recorded just a few minutes ago of why I had her on the podcast, because the love that she has for what she does and the love that flows through her, I felt it so strongly at the retreat. I knew that I wanted to have her on the podcast to share her with all of you so that you can experience the same thing that I have. She has an amazing story, energy, and gifts. So here's the 411 on Debra. Debra, also known by her spiritual name, Padmani Akal Kaur, shares her intuitive gifts of vibrational healing through the frequencies of alchemy crystal singing bowls, gongs, and other sacred instruments. With certifications in sound healing, Yin and Restorative yoga, Shamangelic Breathwork, Reiki, and tuning forks, she creates deeply immersive experiences that support emotional and physical well-being. After developing PTSD symptoms from a motorcycle accident, Debra found profound healing through sound, inspiring her to share its transformative benefits with others. Based in Sedona since 2005, she offers private and group sessions, retreats, and public events throughout the United States, guiding others on their journey towards balance and inner harmony. So in this episode today, we talk about what led her to sound healing, what a sound bath experience is like, the importance of frequency and how that works to heal your body, and all the ways in which you can work with Debra, whether it's one-on-one, in a group, retreats, all of those things. So I cannot wait for you guys to experience her energy and her presence. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I am really excited today to introduce you to Debra Fleeger. And I just want to start off, Debra, by having you share a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, thank you. It's so wonderful to be here. I am a sound healing and breathwork facilitator, and I offer that in many forms. I primarily live in Sedona, and I love to be on the road offering what I do.
I love it. Now, I'm also very casual on my podcast, so I tell the listeners, like they're sitting right here, you guys, I told Debra that I have to record her introduction separately because I will fumble through it if I try to do it with her on here. And so I'll say this in the introduction probably again, but I so enjoyed experiencing you and what you do for the first time in Sedona just a couple of months ago when I was there with Retreat. And in that session, you shared a little bit about your journey and how you came to sound healing. So I'm wondering if you can start off by sharing that with us as well, because it's an amazing story.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. I bought a classic crystal, the white bowls that a lot of people are used to seeing.
Mm.
And when I started playing them, I experienced this otherworldly sensations and heard a voice come through that played along with me. And before that time, I had been getting messages from the angels. So I think perhaps I would like to talk about that as well, because that's a precursor for me
Okay.
as my own personal journey. I was in a motorcycle accident. Oh gosh, I can't remember. It feels like forever ago, about maybe
Mhm.
20 years ago. And right before I got in the accident, my angels, they were literally flying on my shoulder and said, "You're going to be in an accident. The accident's not meant for you." And then, boom, I had the accident. I was with my husband on the motorcycle, and miraculously, neither one of us, we ran into a deer. I flew off the bike, and we were so fortunate. I felt that we were really taken care of. And since that time, I developed PTSD symptoms from mostly physical symptoms. Whenever I was in a car, particularly when my husband was driving, I'd have these physical manifestations from the fear. I must have put my hands in front of my face when it actually happened. And when I started playing the bowls, I noticed that my body gradually became calmer. Now, this wasn't a one-shot deal for sure. It was years. And I didn't realize that what it was doing to me immediately, because I was playing for others and practicing and all of that. But there was no question that the sounds on a continuous basis provided a sense of calm, and my body learned that and incorporated that. And I know that some of us practitioners, myself included, don't play on a regular basis. I have started to do that. It is so healing, even if it's just for a few minutes. I happen to have a lot of instruments, so there's no excuse. And so that was really, really wonderful. And when I started playing the bowls, I had a 5-minute lesson, and I had heard the sound a lot in yoga after I was practicing Kundalini yoga at that time. So the sound baths were very common after a Kriya. And I got a 5-minute lesson, and the person who sold the bowls to me said, look for any opportunities you can. Go into yoga studios and offer to play. And I did. I'm not shy in that way. Compared to how I am now, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had a love. It was a passion. And so yoga studios opened their doors to me. It was a 5-minute shavasana, which is after a yoga practice. And I started playing for people in private groups. It was as if spirit fast tracked me for a whole year, saying, I'm going to teach you how to pack your bags, how to go up and down stairs, how to set everything up quickly and in the dark. It was amazing, amazing. And since then, I've had a lot of training. I finished, I think it was just 2 years ago, a 6-month training with a very well-known sound healer. And I'm constantly looking for ways to improve my offerings. So it's been, I believe that journey may have started in 2016. And it's been an incredible time, and I'm so grateful to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can feel that energy from you. That when you described about how you didn't have necessarily experience, but you had the love and the passion for that, I can feel that energy, and that is just moves you. Did you have experiences with angels prior to the motorcycle accident, or was that your first kind of experience with them?
That experience was so vivid, but I had experiences before, and it was more like intuitional. I don't know if that's a word.
Works for me. Yeah.
Experiences that particular experience helped me identify the previous experience as being angelic and intuition based.
Okay. And had you had a love for sound or music prior to when you started using the sound bowls?
Well, I love music. I am tone deaf, and I'm working on that part. I'm not known for carrying a tune. So, and there's a lot of sound healing practitioners that do not have musical backgrounds. So I will tell you, I did get to a point where I felt something was off when I was playing the bowls, minutely off. There was nothing wrong with it. And that's when I sought someone who had a musical background and was able to repair my bowls. And it took me a while to get used to hearing them, but it made a big difference. So yeah, no background at all.
I love that. Uh, for someone who's never experienced a sound bath before, can you kind of describe what the experience is like?
Yeah. Generally, you're laying down and there are various instruments that are being played with the intention to produce a specific frequency
Mm.
to try to reach your cellular level. So people will just feel the sounds kind of wash over them, or they may feel them moving through their body. They may also feel unusual sensations. And it can be, and I never give anyone an example, but we'll talk about it here. It can be itching, tingling, twitching. They can look like they're asleep, but they're actually having vivid dreaming because the sounds are able to place them if they're open to it. And that's a huge ingredient, is being able to surrender to the experience, being able to shut off that monkey mind. Our minds
Mm.
are always thinking. So I do talk a little bit about that before our sessions. So if a person is open, those sounds are able to travel a little bit more freely. And those sensations are usually indications that the body needs to release something. And so I also talk about that and using the breath to help those sensations leave the body. It's such an effortless way to receive peace and calm.
Hmm.
And also, sound is heard through the skin. It does travel through the
Oh,
ears and through the vagus nervous system, but it is also felt through the skin. So you don't have to have good hearing in order to benefit from a sound bath.
oh my gosh, I just got chills as you said that. I've never heard it described like that, and it makes so much sense. All your cells are listening as you're in the experience.
Yes. Well, and you know, that's the scientific part of sound as far as frequencies, because if those frequencies can reach the cellular structure, the cellular level, then it's looking for anything that's out of harmony, that's disharmonious, and it attempts to break it up. Now they're
Okay.
using sound frequencies to clear up any calcium within the arteries, and that has been very successful,
Wow.
right?
What are some of the, it just blows my mind. What are some of the things that you've experienced, if you're able to share, either yourself or with people when you've been in a sound bath with them? You kind of described some of the things that they might experience, like an itchiness or signs that energy is ready to move out.
Almost always there's a sense of calm. And I like to know what their intention is before we start the sound bath, because it's a way to get them to think about, why am I here? What's going on in the moment? And also for me, well, wherever I do it, because I have the crystal bowls with me always, and
Mm.
that crystalline energy is a transmuter, transformer. They're in almost all our electronics, so it's the quartz crystal, but they're
Mm.
also listening to the and feeling the vibration of the other person. So there's it's called entrainment, and there's an entrainment that's going on, and the bulls always know what to do. So when they know what their intention is, and it can be as simple as, I'm new, I just want to experience a sound bath, or I'm working on a particularly problem. So usually with one session, I give them time to tell me what happened afterwards. There was a client, this was a while ago, who came in and had some heart problems, and I understand that he was going for testing. a couple days after he had the session. And I didn't know much about his condition, only that he wanted peace. And his partner was there and had a totally different experience. But a friend of mine called me because she referred them to me, and his test came out clear. And she goes, "It had to do with your sound bath." It's like, no, it had to do with whatever he was going through at the moment, whatever he received. I don't know what other modalities. Sure, can it happen? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying that if we allow ourselves a space to be in whatever modality we're receiving, I think the outcome can be pretty magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I have worked with a couple people for a year when they come in every 2 weeks. So there's a very specific intention on their part and what they want. And they can tell me 5 minutes before they come in. Today I'm feeling this, and this is what I want to receive. So if it's either sound or breath, we work with that. And either it's very intense or it's very soft. So, and they'll tell me about, yeah, whatever it is they're trying to relieve it. It could be grief. I've had a couple clients that have lost pets or family members, and it's not about eliminating grief. It's about easing the journey through the grief, allowing them to embrace wherever they are, allowing any client to embrace wherever they are and to honor that.
Mm-hmm. I love the way that you put that. Embracing the journey of it, not like we're trying to just get rid of it and not feel it, but move through it with more ease. Um, that's beautiful. A couple of questions popped up in my mind as you were talking, and you said the bulls know what to do and where to go. Do you have the same set of bowls that you put out each time, or if they come to you with a different intention, do you put out different bowls?
You know, it's interesting with bowls. I have a lot of bowls, and people ask me how many, and I forget. Uh, and even if I don't have a certain bowl that would, because they're alchemy and they have specific alchemies, they're key through the keys that run along the spine, the chakra. So those are meaningful in itself. And then there's certain alchemies, like I have a bowl that has Sedona red rock infused with mother of platinum. Platinum is a master healer of the divine. Gold is also a master healer. I don't particularly have to have a specific bowl, although I will. If I do, I'll bring it out and see what it does. And like I said, crystal bowls can transform and they can change the frequency. It can be a stone that I bring in and lay on someone. It's always goes back to the intention. And I did a training where we had experienced sound bath practitioners, and we practiced with each other. Didn't have the right bowls, but we practiced, and a few of us lost sound through whatever medium we were using. And these were people that were all over the world. And even though we didn't have sound, we could see them and we'd be playing. And they said, "Oh my God, I felt it." So, you can't always prove how that happens, but it
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to take a moment to share about this upcoming retreat I have in downtown Everett, Washington at Kindred Healing Space. It's June 6th through the 8th, and the theme of this retreat is Step into Your Power. You can go to iloveitwhen.org for all information and to purchase your ticket today. This is the first time I've ever hosted one of my retreats here in Everett, and over the last 12 months, this retreat has been brewing in my energy, and I felt very called to offer something super local. I know many people in the Pacific Northwest have been intrigued by my retreats in the past, but haven't had the opportunity to attend one as of yet. This is for you. This retreat is also unique in that for the first time ever, I'm offering a one-day ticket option. This is for you if you're curious, but you're not quite ready to commit to the full 3 days yet. The one-day ticket option gives you access to the energy of this retreat for the entire first day, in which you'll hear and get access to each of our main speakers. Of course, I encourage you to attend for the full 3 days, especially if you feel pulled to this retreat at all in the first place. That usually means there's something here for you. This feels delicious, incredibly intentional, and full of magic. I'll see you this coming June at Kindred Healing Space in Everett, Washington. Can you describe all the different ways? You've kind of talked a little bit about this already, but you work with people in a number of different ways. So you might work with people in groups or one-on-one, or if people wanted to hire you for a party or a group at their house or something. Do you find that, like, I haven't, until you actually had mentioned this as a possibility at the retreat that somebody could come and see you one-on-one, I actually never thought about seeing a sound healer one-on-one. So it was a great thing to think about, like, oh, I would to actually think about if I wanted frequency work done. Um, so I guess I'm wondering, how do people most work with you, or what do you love to do the most?
I'm glad you mentioned that because there is this perception that, and there's also safety for people too,
Mm.
to go to a scheduled sound bath, which is usually a group. What do I like the most right now? And this year, I'm liking doing it in my room because I have all my instruments. There's no way I play all these instruments, and I have a huge gong. Although the gong said you're taking me, and I just went and played a public event for 60 people. Uh,
Wow.
but I like to carry my own instrument, so my husband had to carry that one. I I would say that's my preference to have people come into my room. It can only accommodate six, and I love playing out. I love going to retreats and Airbnbs here in town or when I'm on the road. But I'm so glad you brought that up because that's going to make me focus now on marketing. It's like, yeah, you know what? I do one-on-ones or two people or three people or up to
Hmm.
six. I also do specific work with people that are bringing in retreats that have specific goals that they want to achieve. So that's important for me to understand what I'm walking into and to be
Hmm.
able to serve them. And that's lovely to walk into what I consider a container. If they've done breath work, they're all zenned out usually. If they're a family, there's a lot of dynamics that are flowing through that, which are wonderful to be witness to help hold wherever they are.
Hmm. Yeah, you've definitely got my mind turning now on the idea of getting a one-on-one session, because I think in a lot of ways for me, I could probably surrender at an even deeper level by myself than I could in a group. Although I've experienced amazing things in group sound healings for sure. Can you talk a little bit about is it shamangelic breathwork? I
Yeah,
never heard that term
I would,
before.
yeah, it's actually, I think it's a term that the woman who trains quite a lot of people actually is Anahata Ananda, and she's here. And she has been doing breath work before it became popular. And so breath work is so amazing because it's a super oxygenator. And there's a lot of different kind of breaths that you can use. I have something that's like a mild breath work, or I have something that's I call down and dirty. Let's like really, really get in there. And for me, particularly, it's perfect because there's this angelic realm. So if I offer breath work, I love to do a double session, offer some breath work, and then follow it up with sound. Or at the end of a breath work session, there's this gentleness. You've done all this work, all this breathing, all this releasing. So now it's time for you to be held in this beautiful container of love. And the breath work that I've been trained to do is physical. If someone's going through something, you get in there, you hold them, you cherish them the way they need to. And that was huge for me to get out from behind my bowls. And it came easily. I don't want to say easy, but it was natural. It was a natural manifestation for me. It's a beautiful, and every breath work, like every sound bath, every breathwork session is really different, not only because of the facilitator, but because of you.
Mm.
You come in and you are in a different frequency. Like I have a local group that comes in maybe once a month, and they've experienced my work a year, maybe 2 years out, but they're different every time because their frequency is different. I could play the same bowls every time they come, and it'll be totally different.
Okay. What would you say is the main difference between a shamangelic breathwork and maybe, I'm thinking just another kind of, I don't know which type, but is it just the intention of involving the angels and the angelic realm?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Although I've seen that in other breathwork sessions, so it just happens
Hmm.
naturally. I think it's a name that's important for Anahata,
Hmm.
and I certainly resonate with that. Now I do find myself calling it just breathwork.
Hmm.
Sometimes shaman is a misunderstood definition.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm thinking about from a facilitator's perspective, when someone asks you to come in and do breath work or sound work for a retreat or for a group experience, what have you noticed about what can the facilitator do to make sure that the group is set up for the best experience possible? Besides maybe setting the intention, like you've talked about, being clear about the intention.
I think it's truly understanding. It takes me a while when I go to another place to set up. So that also not only just setting up, it gives me an opportunity to walk in there, and I have a conversation with the facilitator before, definitely. Like, what do you want me to do? What do you think is the most important thing for me to do?
Mhm.
If that is answering your question.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then also feeling into the energy and seeing where they actually are in that moment. Sometimes there'll be conversations. I'm literally a fly on the wall when I walk into these kind of situations, but I am listening and saying, oh, that's a piece of information that I will keep in mind when I'm delivering sound. So it's like I just filter that information into my mind, body, spirit, not like, oh, I need to do this.
Hmm.
It's just a flow that I have learned to accept and not use the mind too much and let spirit come in and be the driver, the
Hmm.
guide.
Hmm. Well, that segues perfect into my next question, which is I always like to ask people what their definition of intuition is, because I love that everybody kind of says it differently. And so I think that gives the audience a number of different ways in which to hear it. So I'm wondering, how do you define what intuition is for you?
It's something that you sense without proof or validation.
Okay.
And I just got chills when you asked me that. So that is a perfect segue, right? Because I think it's clairsentient when you feel
Hmm.
the sensations. And
Hmm.
I will bet most of us are clairsentient and may not
Hmm.
admit it, but we get goosebumps when we talk to
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
What beautiful messages,
Hmm.
spirit or whatever your belief system is, gives
Hmm.
us. I am mainly, or have been mainly, claircognizant. I
Okay.
have this knowing about things. Now I'm getting into being clairaudient. I always did hear things, but it seems now it's having a louder voice, so to speak.
Okay.
So I'm seeing this intermingling, always the chills, the sensations. That's how I feel my energy. It comes through my hands when I'm preparing for a session or when I do my
Mm.
daily morning meditation. It's right there. It comes fast and hard. Actually, it's coming fast and harder now. I don't know what that means. I'd like to think that I'm calling it in better or I'm more receiving.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I would, if people could sit for a moment and think the last time that they shivered, the last time that they got goosebumps and say, oh yeah, that's intuition. And
Mhm.
once you step into it with that recognition, I feel that it's opening the door for a lot of other intuition tools, so to speak.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly what you just said about once you recognize, I can now look back. I'm very much the clairsentience. I felt so much in my body and I didn't recognize that it was my body speaking to me or my intuition talking to me. But once you recognize it, it does, I think, bring you into more awareness and present moment so that you can catch those things as they're happening and be like, what does that mean? That's a message. Um, how do you feel like, has that led you? I'm sure it has. Do you have any stories or examples of how it's led you in different ways to follow it, whether with your business or your life?
Well, one very simple one was that when I'm dealing with clients, sometimes I'll get a color, and something spoke out so clearly to me about purple. There was a family from India, and
Mm.
and I never use purple bedspreads. I don't use them anymore. But it said no, get them out. So I laid them on the floor, and the mama was so excited. She goes, "Oh my God, this is the main color we used in our villages." And I
Wow.
was like, "Thank you." So that's a small
It's a
thing.
great example.
Yeah. And as far as business, I remind myself to be open. I remind myself that when there'll be a week or two when I don't have a lot of sessions. And in previous years, I would get frustrated. It's like, oh my God, what am I doing? I have to keep moving, moving, moving. It's like, oh no, this is the time to replenish. This is the time to think, what do you need to do to take care of yourself
Mhm.
or work on a new instrument, not necessarily go buy a new instrument. That's so hard not to do. So it's like a regrouping. And I understand that very clearly now. So I try to take more and more advantage of that downtime. I
Mhm.
don't consider what I do a business, but it is.
Mhm.
It is. And so, but to be able to use all of my abilities in the healing arts field and to continue to enhance those abilities
Mhm.
is amazing.
I love that. I've definitely resonate with the moving more into the flow of, oh, I don't have any appointments this week. That means I can take more time to rest, go for walks, move my energy. That's taken me some time to fully accept and trust that that's the space to do it with. So I love that. Um, do you have anything you want to share with us about what you're doing with sound and anything coming up, or that you have a plan of where you're going to focus your energy on with?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
in addition to focusing, having more people come to my space, I actually am going to jump into it's a very short training for personal development for myself. And I've started a training in vocal transformation. So we'll see what happens with that because it always transfers out to what I have to offer. And one of those trainings, actually, I'm just signing up for it today as you speak. So it's kind of interesting that this happened, that I will turn into a trip. The training is in Colorado. So I will now call some of the studios where I've played before and some places I haven't and said, hey, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods. So
Oh,
we'll see
yes.
what I can offer there. And that's always exciting. I travel by van, so I'm able to carry quite a few of my instruments and I make it my own personal path as far as being on the road. It's always fun and cushioning those days when I can get out in nature and
Mhm.
replenish myself. And you never know what's going to happen on the road.
It's so true. Well, I definitely know some people in Colorado, so I'll have them keep an eye out for you. They would love to come to one of your experiences.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
send me their names. I'm happy to reach out to
Okay.
them. And yeah, that'd be
Okay,
great.
cool.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Is there anything I haven't asked you that we should ask you about to know to share with people?
not about me personally, but I encourage everyone, including myself, is to do what you feel passionate about. The money's going to be there somehow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
walk in it, be in it, welcome it,
Mm-hmm.
connect with other people who are along that same path.
Mm-hmm. I can say right off the bat, just I've been thinking about this since we started recording. I did not expect to feel, and it feels very validating for me, the love that you have for sound healing to come so directly out to you because it's reminding me of how I feel about, I'm having that feeling right now about a retreat that I'm planning. And it's just this very deep, very passionate, very excited and joyful love. And I felt that from you, and I was like, oh, it's such confirmation for me that that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing or supposed to be doing, but what I want to do and what feels like me. And so that just emanates from you. And so thank you for sharing that with me. And I think people are going to feel that through this episode too.
Absolutely. Well, if you need a sound healer,
Oh, believe me, I am absolutely thinking of how could I get Debra to Seattle? Yes.
that just means a trip for me. Yay!
Yes,
A new place to explore.
totally. Yes. Well, I like to end each episode with what's your current I love it when, either for yourself or for the world right now.
I love that you're doing this. This is
Oh,
I
thanks.
saw that when you first started the Zoom. I love it when we connect or something. It's like, oh my God, that's so wonderful. Yeah. I love it when I'm in the flow of life. And for me, that means effortless connection with others, always for our highest, greatest good.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your energy and your time today.
Oh, it's such a joy. It's wonderful to see you again. And
You as well.
thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.